right, Mama. What's going on? How's your week going so far?
Okay, so it was pretty good. I mean, I'm not going to say that it was like bad because, of course, that's just the flow.
Mm-hmm.
But there was some tough going like yesterday, and it was so weird because like I got up and I was like, yes, Venus is Friday and it's love day, and then like we had like such choppiness in the house. Like Michaela was acting
Mm-hmm.
wild, and then at the end of the day, I'm like going to look through my stuff, and it's like all these different planetary movements with just Venus. So I'm like, no shit. Like, of course, we're all like, so,
Mm-hmm.
but it was an all right day. I think that's just like all the time, like when people don't really realize that we're going to shift every time they shift around,
Mm-hmm.
like they feel like, well, my life is over. It gets so scary for me because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't pay attention to that stuff, like, remember we were talking, like, I think it was the first time we recorded, that lady that, said that she wanted to kill herself or something. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah. Yeah, my neighbor. Yeah, my neighbor.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys, if you just like calm down a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
like it will totally pass
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah. I
So
think
yeah, it was an all right week though.
I totally like. I'm feeling that too, and I've been seeing more of that. Like, actually, I did an experiment. I was like, okay, look, I need to be informed, but I don't need to know what's going on every moment of every second of every day. And usually, when I start off my day watching the news, I get all like wound up over some of that, and so I'm like, And so for the last 3 days, I've intentionally not watched the news first thing in the morning. Instead, I was like, I'll just catch up after I'm done with work, and then later in the evening I can spend the day fuming or whatever. But I'll read it right instead of watching a news program, because I don't. For two reasons. One, I don't. There's going to be a lot of crap going on from now until the end of the year that's just going to be noise that has nothing to do with me and nothing to do with what I'm going to be doing. And even Edward and I were talking about this yesterday. He was like, look, anything that's on the news right now at this point is noise. I don't care what's the latest poll or what's the latest this, or I don't give a damn. Like, I already know what I'm doing. I know who I'm voting for. I don't need this noise. Like, I just don't care at this point. So, and nothing that can happen is going to get us to change our ideas as far as what we're going to be deciding when we come November and we have to vote. So for me, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's a good point. So I made it a point to not watch the news, and I've been instead of reading and just reading other books, because normally I would read spiritual books, but there's only so
Yeah.
much spirituality you can take in a day before you get the shits. So
Right?
I was like, I'm not reading spirituality first thing in the morning. I'm going to read something fun. So I have a lot of like UFO and alien books, and like secret like UFO stuff, and so I love that stuff. I love UFOs. So we got to do a show on UFOs, because that's definitely one of
Yeah.
those things. But so that's what I've been starting my day off with. Is just reading a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then after that, I'm like, okay, it's time to get ready for work. But I mean, it's been nice. I do miss my news though. Like, I do like watching the news, like, ooh, like what happened or this or that, because it's like gossip, and I like that.
Yeah.
But it's like I can't. I feel like I'm bombarding myself, and it's just like I'm just pissing myself off first thing in the morning, and I was like, nope, I don't want to carry this throughout the day. So I just need
Right.
to, yeah. Plus, if it's big enough,
I mean, because
someone's gonna text me or someone's gonna say, "Did you see what just happened?" or whatever. If it's
yeah.
big enough, right? So yeah. Now The View is starting back up. I think on Monday, so they start their season premiere. I love The View, and I love watching The View, and that'll be interesting. And it's funny because I love Whoopi. I actually love all of them. I love all of the Joy Behar. I love all of them. I love Megan McCain too.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I think she's a badass because she says whatever she's thinking. The only thing is that sometimes, for a while, she was acting like nobody cared about what nobody cared. Like, it's almost like she made herself out to be a little bit of a victim. Like, I'm the only
Yeah.
Republican. I'm like, girl, like, stop it. Like, I am agreeing with you. Like, what you're saying, I'm agreeing with that, and I ain't a Republican. But I'm agreeing with what you're saying, and that's a point, and that's a point that needs to be taken seriously. But then she'll go into, like, but I'm the only one here, and nobody likes what I have to say. And I'm just like, girl, chill out with the bullshit. Like, you got a fan, it's okay. Now, this year, because she's pregnant, she really wound up. And so she ain't even, like, trying to, like, roll it off in the back. Like, she's just pissed all the time. So like, that was the girl.
Yeah.
Don't be pregnant often, because you really pissed, ever since you got pregnant, you just even more pissed off than usual. But I mean, I like Whoopi because I like Whoopi's, she brings, she makes me feel mothered in the show. And she's like, she brings, like, it's like a reality check. Like,
Yeah.
that's what she is.
Balance.
She's the reality check. She's the balance. She's like the mama hand. Like, okay, y'all, like, I'm gonna need you to stop. And she don't have no problem, like, getting in your face and telling you what she thinks when you're acting like a bitch. So it's like, listen, we ain't doing that today. This is not what we're doing. So
Right. And she's very even with it.
Yeah.
Like, she's not like, she didn't pick on one person. Like, she doesn't pick on Megan.
No.
Like, she just like, stop.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
We can do something else with our energy. Like,
Right.
I really respect that about her. I love Whoopi. And I really like The View, too. Like, that was
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I started Between Us Girls. I was like, y'all want to talk?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I had thought of an idea of bringing together like spiritual people and having a panel and doing that like once a month or something, where there were like
Yeah.
4 of us, and we would talk about stuff from like a spiritual perspective, but at the
Yeah.
same time, not be so ethereal that we're talking about like, well, I don't know, but like the angle of this crystal, I don't really like. Who the fuck cares about the angle of your crystal? Like, I don't care about crystal angles. Like, talk to me about like, you know, how that woman, you know, like, talk to me about something else that I feel is more humanly connecting
Yeah.
than the angle of a crystal. Like, that's not important to me. I don't care, you know.
So tell me some about that infinity
Mm.
that you posted.
That,
You know,
that
where you were
graphic.
asking about the each. Yes.
Yeah, the graphic. So like a few days ago, I posted this picture on Instagram because I'm always, whenever I'm in that zone, like sometimes I'll be hanging out and doing whatever, doing my own things, usually on my days off, because when I'm on my days off, I'm like, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to sit here and be lazy. And then as soon as I like get settled, my brain starts to go into all of these, like, I'm like, oh, great, here they go. And so I was getting all this like information about the structure of God and or of like source with us, and the structure of humanity with like the higher or the spirit. And it was just a weird, the way it started off in my head was, I asked a question like, why do we have to consume animals? Like, because I hate having to kill an animal for us to be alive. I hate for animals to have to suffer. I hate for living beings to have to suffer for us to live. But I love my barbacoa tacos, and I love my bacon, and I love all this other stuff. So there's that conflict, and there's always been that conflict within me. There's always going to be that conflict within me, because I don't think I'll ever get to a place where I just give up meat, because it's too much of the culture that I come from. But just finding ways around it is what I try to do best. But I still eat majority like plant-based stuff, but every now and then I will allow myself meat. And I felt bad. I still feel bad about it. And I'm like, you know, Asha, why do we have to eat animals to be here? And so Asha was like, because it's a reflection of like the way that it has to be processed from source. So in other words, if you think of like source or the universe and all of that in its entirety, it's this being. And we refer to that being as like God, but it's a being. Yeah. It's a being that exists, that sustains all of that. And so this being, if you think of the beginning or of like the moment where consciousness was like, I am. That's the being, I am. And then in order for that consciousness to experience anything beyond the I am, it would have to essentially deconstruct itself and engage in various forms and in various perspective and in various ways of being besides just the I am. So the being that we consider to be like God or source said, I want to live, I want to experience, I want to know, I want to feel. I can't just be all that I am. So it sacrificed itself into its smaller components, into its smaller parts. And in the process of it sacrificing itself to be these smaller components and these smaller pieces, that is us. We are these smaller components, these smaller pieces, right? And so we are a representation of the divinity. We're a representation of source of God here on this planet. What we do here is a reflection of God on this world, vice versa. So God is the consciousness that is the entirety of all things. So when we are praying or we're trying to connect to our higher being, that is essentially what we're doing. We're trying to reassemble ourselves in some sort of like conscious awareness or altered state of awareness that is as close to source, as close to God as possible. We're trying to remember that grander version of ourselves. But that's an impossibility because we still exist as this like component, as this piece. So it isn't until we kind of get reabsorbed into the wholeness of all things that we begin to even get a glimpse of that. But here in the physical world, so in other words, the great being sacrificed itself for us to exist. So we basically materialized, or we became something from those other pieces, from that energy, from that grander form. So we absorbed the grandest form into our singular beingness to become this individual consciousness. Flip it upside down, and you actually have what we experience here, which is all of the smaller components, the smallest components in this physical world or in this matrix. I call it a physical matrix because that's what it is, a physical matrix.
Yeah.
All the smallest components of this physical matrix have to assemble themselves into larger components and into larger components and into larger components. And so when we think of plants, when we think of animals, because everything has a consciousness here, everything is part of consciousness. When we think of plants and animals, they are just the assembly of smaller components or smaller beingness. And so we, in order to survive, we have to absorb these beings. We have to absorb these things, which are plants, which are animals. We have to absorb it. We can't survive without the absorption of another being here in this structure form. But at the same time, when we pass away or when we die, they say we turn to dust or we go back into formless being, which is we actually reassemble consciousness-wise into the larger form. So the visual that I posted, or the visual that I was kind of breaking down all the different parts and aspects of that, and it's so it's so complicated. It wasn't a simple answer. It's not like because you're supposed to. Like that's not what Asha said. Asha was like, well, let me tell you what you need to know, And so it like brought all that information into my head, and I was just like, girl, I'm gonna need to make a graphic because this is a lot. So I got onto Canva and I was starting to make that graphic, and so that's the graphic that I posted on. So I was trying to help people understand what I was given in that piece of information from just asking a simple question: why do I gotta eat an animal to live here? Can't I just just be, or no? So it's the same thing happening on both sides, from spirit down, and then from basic component and basic being up. So it's happening on both sides, but it's happening in the opposite way. So in that picture, there's the infinity symbol, because the infinity symbol just represents the transformation of one area or one side into another. There's a transformation into one into another, but it's this constant cyclical pattern of transformation. So it's always happening in a cyclical pattern, but it's this infinity. It is infinitely happening with us and God, where this is always going to be this us and God, but we're all the same thing, just in different forms and from different perspectives.
Yeah. I like it. When I saw it, I was like, ooh, I can't wait to talk about this, because I love how you ask those questions.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people don't think that broadly. Or, I mean, most people, let's be real, don't realize that they can ask those types of questions and then get the answers.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was in like Catholic school, when I was in catechism, Sunday school, I guess, when, all the parents went to mass and we were all dumped in the classroom and we were just given something in color or whatever. The teacher always said, like, well, I asked questions, and I remember Noah's Ark. I was like, why? How all them animals fit in that boat? How are you going to get all those animals? Do they have enough supplies? Are they going to be able to make 40? So I asked all these questions, and what about the animals that were not on the boat? What about the ones that species? And then the teacher was like, I think she got tired of me, and she was like, we don't ask those questions. It just, that's the answer, and we have to accept it. It's God's will or whatever. I'm like, that's not right. And so already as a kid, I was like, this doesn't make sense, And as I got older, I just kept asking questions. And the thing about it was, the minute that I said, I'm not going to let y'all tell me how to have a relationship with my God or with the thing that I look towards as inspiration, my higher self, my spiritual side. I'm not going to let someone tell me how to have that relationship. I'm just going to have that relationship. I'm going to ask that being or that source for the answer. And I got my answers, and I've never stopped getting answers. And so it's important that I always tell people, don't be so stupid. Don't be a sheep. Don't be walking around, I can't know something. I'm not smart enough. Girl, yes, you are smart enough. You can figure it out, but you need to ask the questions, and it'll get delivered to you in the way you can understand it. You may not get the complexity of it. You may not get all these pieces and parts that, I like to get, because I like to understand how something works. And usually something works. I'm spilling the tea, girl. I'm spilling the tea.
You are spilling right now.
Girl, but I never stopped asking questions. And I will never stop asking questions. Because I'm like, look, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to just let myself be submissive to ignorance. I need to know what the answer is. I need to know what the answer is.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go on. You go on.
I was just going to say, that's how I ended up here. Because when I was about 14, I got kicked out of the catechism class because I think the question was well, can you just explain how all of that happened because Jesus had a body like we have a body?
Yeah.
So is it possible that other people can also be like that?
Yeah.
And it was an old white couple, and they were like, if you don't get out of this classroom asking us these questions we don't want to answer. And that was like the last time I had a faith, to be honest.
Yeah.
And like I tried for a long time to sort of get back on the Christianity wheel, but I never really could because I didn't felt welcome there. You know what I'm saying? Because it was like every time I wanted to do what I felt inclined to do, somebody was telling me I was wrong. And I was like, I can't keep living like that. And so yesterday, whenever we were having the day, I was like, you know what? I need to get out of here for a minute. So I drove over to the park across the street and I walked a little bit, and they have this like free library that you can go into. And so I was like, well, maybe I can find a cool book. And everything in there was like Christianity, Jesus. And I was like, yes, I love the Lord, but in my way. Yeah. So I'm not finding the book that is going to speak to me. So a song came on, and of course I cried because I always cry. But then I was like, I just need to talk. I just need to talk to you. You know what I mean? And just be connected in that way.
Yeah.
So yes.
I think it's hard because I think people are waking up, but I also think that people are waking up and falling back asleep because you got all these people say, I'm woke. I'm like, just because you bought into the latest conspiracy theory don't mean you woke. That just means you're gullible. That's what that means. So for me, like, you have all these conspiracies going on and going around, and people buy into that so easily, but they're not actually doing the homework. They're not doing the research. And I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't consider myself a Catholic. I don't consider myself any religion. I consider myself this is the religion of Ferny. Like this is the belief system that I built up by myself. And it's hard because when you talk about just the idea, when you use the word God and use the word like, you know, or even bringing Jesus into conversation, by nature, it puts a lot of people off. And that's something that I don't want people to understand is like, I'm not talking as a Christian. I'm not talking as a follower of the biblical text. Like, I'm not talking to you as that. I'm talking to you as someone who has lived through a very challenging life. And one of the things that has gotten me through it without going fucking insane is the idea or the belief that there is a being that is at the top of the totem pole that I consider to be God. But we call it source, we call it universe, we call it whatever we want to call it. And no religion is ever going to get it right. No person is ever going to get it down exactly how it needs to be. You know, every religion is like a pair of shoes. If the shoes don't fit, put on another pair and try a new batch out, you know? And some people, they hold on to those shoes when they're ripped up, they're torn apart, they don't fit their feet anymore, their toenails are all crunched up in the shoes, but they're holding on to it because they're so afraid of trying out a new pair that would fit them and be much better suited to them. So you got all these people who are like so attached to religion, so attached to their Christian beliefs and Christian ideas, so attached to these ideas that are actually can be very destructive and toxic, but because they've been conditioned to believe this is the only answer to what you are seeking in life, they are so attached that they don't even know how to trust in their own intuition, to trust in their own idea of what could potentially be the case, and they don't even believe that they can ask the question. I'm like, ask the fucking question. Like, you're either going to hold the answer or you're just going to be sitting in silence. But ask the question. Question everything. And there are people who, and because Ed's funny, because my partner, he considers himself to be an atheist. He believes in something, but he doesn't have the answers. So he considers himself to be an atheist because he does not believe that religion is the way to have a better world. And I agree with him. I think religion has created a lot more problems than it has solved. You know, when you think of the Crusades, millions of people were killed because they were witches or because they believed in this or that, or they didn't follow something, you know, ideally. And now you have people being, you know, thrown off roofs because they're gay or they're homosexual in other countries, you know. So have you ever heard of the Rainbow Railroad? The Rainbow Railroad is the name that's given to this organization. It's like the Underground Railroad. So the Underground Railroad, of course, you know, slaves were given an escape route underneath the ground for people who don't know what it is, and they were taken to safety because, you know, they were trapped and they were stuck and they couldn't find a way out of the oppression of their masters. So the Rainbow Railroad was coined because in these other countries, like in certain parts of Africa and certain parts of the Middle East, like if you're gay, you will either be imprisoned, severely tortured, or you will be killed. There's videos of them throwing gay people off the roof, etc. So The Rainbow Railroad is an organization where they basically buy the freedom for gay people in other countries who are trying to get the hell out of these countries, who don't have any, they're like refugees. So they're paying for them to leave the country and bringing them over. And Canada is one of the main countries that does a lot of this. And so they called it the Rainbow Railroad, to get these people out of safety because their lives are at risk. And so people can donate to the cause and everything like that. But, in other countries, you can be killed for this or that reason. I mean, some women, if you go, it's funny because I was having a conversation with a friend and they were talking about going to Egypt, and they said you have to be covered up, because if you go into certain parts of town, you're not covered up or wearing the hijab or anything like that, immediately you're leaving yourself open to violence or to like actual, being the victim of a crime, because you are not wearing what has been said and told by the ancient text, and the biblical text, etc. So I mean, all of that fits in there. So it's sad, but it's like, that's why I'm like, look, men are stupid. People are stupid by nature. Humans, we're stupid. We are stupid, and so it's funny because I was like, it's like almost like I don't want to be a near. No experience, ignorant response. I don't want to be a near, because most people, when they are commenting on stuff, especially on social media nowadays, you got people giving their opinions. They're nears. They have no experience to speak of, and they're giving ignorant responses. And so they have nothing to say whatever they're saying. So no, like if you're going to speak on something, make sure you got something to back it up. You better have some receipts, because you ain't got no experience. You have nothing to say. Nothing to say. I think that if we focus on education and teaching people how to be decent human beings, that just by itself could make the biggest difference in the world.
Right. Extending more love to each other.
Yeah.
At the very base of it.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing, is like people will talk about love and then still be extremely judgmental. It's like, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not it.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's so many layers to it. And it's just like respecting your humanity, but also, just like we talked about before, looking at those things that your ego is constructed on that are harmful to your ability to love others.
I think the level of hypocrisy for 2020 has definitely been so obvious and apparent, and just like, okay, girl, like, okay, like, so you just said that, but this is what you did. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. I'm like, how is that? Because I'm a badass. I mean, you're a fucking idiot. Like, no, you're not a badass. You're an idiot. You're ignorant. You need to like line the shit that comes out of your mouth up with what you're doing, because you look like a damn fool. And everybody else can see that you look like a fool, but you're acting like you're the shit, and you're not. And it's like, girl, get it together. Like, comb your hair, girl. Comb your hair. Like, it's one of those people, those people, and it's just like, oh, girl, and these people making me crazy.
Well, and like, I was gonna like apply for this job, but when I looked more into the lady who is the person, I was like, that just does not align with me. Like, it's all money. And I was like, that's not where I am going. Yeah. Because like, who knows where the hell we're going? So it's like, to align with somebody who's like, money, like, she gonna be stressed in a minute. And I'm not trying to be over there. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy right now. You
know what, like with people with the jobs, like, because back when I used to work at Starbucks and I was the manager and I had employees, I thought I was the best boss. I thought I was the best boss because I spoiled the shit out of my people. So, but I had employees where like they were like, Fernie, I'm going to be like, I think I'm ready to leave Starbucks. I'm like, you're fine. I want to leave Starbucks too. So I'm just here because the pay is good for me enough for now. And then I got benefits and I got a mortgage to pay for. But if I could leave, I could too. Because, our own working together in the store was fine. That was not the issue. The issue was the company and the policies that they were putting into place. And when all that crazy stuff happened in the late 2000s with the market crashing and everything like that, the company started to spend less money. So it started to cut this and that out of what is normally something we were allowed. So us managers, like we had like 2 or 3 like administrative days that we could spend focusing on like the stuff behind the scenes, the paperwork, employees, benefits, taking care of this, taking care of that. And they went from that to you only get 6 hours a week on admin stuff.
Mm.
Everything else has to be, and that includes making a schedule with all these picky bitches who want this day and that day off, so at that point, it was not a fun place for even managers. And I left, like a bunch of managers left Starbucks around that time as well. So I was ready to go. But my partners, they were like, I love you, but I don't want to stay with the company. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to stay with the company. And so they were like, I'm going to give you a 30-day notice. So they always gave me plenty of time to prepare. But they would leave. I was like, but here's what I want y'all to do. If y'all are leaving, do not walk out of this job with resentment or unresolved anger or unresolved like crap inside of you. Because if you walk away trying to run away from this and running to something, the energy of this experience is going to follow you. Whether I'm there or not, the energy is going to follow you. And people wouldn't listen to me when I said that. And I was like, y'all don't seem to get it. And so many a times I would tell people this. I said, leave and make sure you walk away with a clear conscience around Starbucks.
Yeah.
Inevitably, they would come back after a month or two. Hey, can I come back? Hey, I want to come back. And I was like, no. I was like, the company won't let me hire you back for like about 60 to 90 days. So you're going to have to wait 2 more months. So no, I can't hire you back. There were people who I fired and they came back asking me to give them their job back. And I was like, I love you, but no, because, and I always say like, I can't hire you back because the company won't let me, which I could, but it's like, no, you were not the easiest person to deal with. You got fired for a reason, fool. Yeah. Like, why are you asking me for your job back? You got fired for a reason. So no, I don't think.
Right.
But it's that, like, don't walk away from shit and go towards, like, don't ever run away from something without getting it resolved or walking away at peace at how it's been left. It doesn't have to be fixed. Just walking away in a peace in your heart that you're okay with however it is, but you're moving forward. Because if you walk away angry and I'm trying to get away from this and I'm trying to move towards, you're going to find it wherever you go, and then it's going to be the same crap all over again.
Right, because usually what that means is that it's you. Like, it's you. So even if you go to a different job, you're still going to be like, I hate when people email me like this.
Right.
It's not going to go away.
Yeah. What's your relationship with money? It's almost like it's the relationship with money. Like the relationship that you have with something is the state of being that you hold with it. So if you have a bad relationship with money, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you will always have the same emotional experience. And there are plenty of people who are probably watching this. I know y'all are watching this. And this and what y'all may experience is like, you get a promotion or you get a raise or whatever, but it's like nothing has changed. You're still feeling the exact same way about your money, but you have more money now. So it's not that more money needs to be the fix. It's that you need to change your relationship with the money, because it's going to be the same thing over and over again. That's why you have people who they go off and they get a break and they win the lottery, and then within a year or two, they're filing for bankruptcy, because it's not the money or amount of money that you have, it's your relationship with it and how that energy works. And if you have a crappy relationship with money, you can get a little more money and make a damn difference, because you're going to spend just as much then as you were when you didn't have it. So it doesn't matter. All right, so this is the question that was submitted for the e-reading question of the week, and it's by Cha-Cha. And the question is, hello Fernie, can you please speak on the verse Leviticus 19:31? I'm wondering how you can speak from the light given the text in that verse, and how you feel you can know that the energy you are channeling is pure and that you aren't being deceived. So, first of all, I feel that it is important for people to understand that the biblical text in the Bible is not the be-all, know-all, end-all. It is a very fragmented, and I use that word lightly, fragmented piece of literature, because it does not exist currently in the form that it existed 1,000 years ago, and actually it didn't exist 1,000 years. The Bible did not exist 1,000 years ago. It actually didn't exist until like the 4th or 5th century, and so that's when, because there was a lot of old books. There was the old Hebrew texts, and there was a lot of ancient manuscripts and books that talked about a whole host of different things. And then that doesn't even include what you would find in the New Testament, which is a bunch of material based on the life of the person we knew as Jesus. So first, you need to understand that the book known as the Bible in its current form, you have to be specific, because there are like over 100 varieties or forms of this book. They exist in different forms, and you can grab one from one church and then grab another from a different church and open them up and look at them, and the words don't match up. They're not the same, because it's been changed and translated over and over and over again. And some of the older translations were based on very, very, very bad versions of translations. So what you may be referring to, if you open that book and you read that verse, the verse that you may be referring to may actually not even be anything near what was originally put down by the person that wrote it. So that already just kind of dismisses the validity of that verse and that information. And so you kind of need to like backtrack and go back to original sources. During the 4th century, Emperor Constantine had actually changed his religion, and he'd become a Christian because he almost died, and he was saved, etc. So he brought together a bunch of the people who were the leaders of the churches and temples at that time, because they all had different forms of Christianity. They were all following their own versions of it. Just like today, we have a bunch of churches that do the same thing. And he was trying to bring people together because there was too much infighting, and there was still a lot of the fighting going on with the pagan religions at the time. So he brought them together, and they all started having these meetings to try to figure out what they were going to do to create a central source for people who were going to follow Christianity. So they spent a lot of time debating, and I mean, their methodology was not necessarily something that I would say was scientific in nature. I mean, I think there's a story where one member said, you know what, like, whatever books I throw, or whatever manuscripts or scrolls I throw on the table that don't fall over, those are the ones we're going to include in the main resource or the main book. And so that's the kind of mindset that you were dealing with at that time. People were just kind of like, not really sticking to the literature. They were just kind of like individually and they were choosing what they were going to include in the final product, which you would understand as the Bible. And then, of course, that got translated over many a times. But originally, there was like 80 sources or 80 texts and documents and books and scrolls that never made it. There was 80, and they only like put in like 30. That's a lot of information that they left out. So a bunch of omen made the decision to create the book that you know as the Bible. So the Bible itself is a human construct. It is not something that fell out of the sky. It is not something that was delivered from a descending angel or cloud. It is something that was constructed by man, who made the decision to include certain things that they agreed with, and who left out a bunch of other stuff that they didn't either fully understand, or they couldn't grasp, or they just didn't agree on when they finally formed the final version of the Bible. And even then, that book, there was only a few in circulation, because most of the population was illiterate. They couldn't read. So that was only held in churches and in temples, and only the person that could read were the priests or the people who were the early church, or the early Catholic Church. And then, of course, over time, people had disagreements with those versions, and then they changed it and created more and more and more versions of it. So you got to pick which one you want to stick to. So I don't really find a lot of credibility in the Bible that you can go into a church today and open up, because there's a lot of stuff that's been messed with. And even just when you think of the word sin, this is how much has been changed and like morphed and manipulated over centuries. Just the word sin, when you ask people what they think the word sin means, most people will tell you, oh, well, the word sin means anger, God is angry and you're evil and you're wrong, or you're damned, or you're, a bunch of bullshit. Well, when you actually look at the word sin in ancient Hebrew and in the ancient texts, and it depends on what sources you look into, the word sin simply means like whenever you take a bow and arrow and you've got a target and you're shooting at the target, if you shoot your bow, if you shoot your arrow at the target and it misses, you've sinned. That's it. Nothing to do with hell, nothing to do with damnation, no mention of the devil. And Christ himself never spoke of the devil. So he never mentioned anything about devil. He never mentioned any of these things. And so when you use the word sin, it is literally at that time being used in that context. Using a bow and arrow, you have a target, you aim at the target, like aiming at your goals, aiming at what you're trying to achieve. You let go, and if you miss it, you've sinned. That is what that means. And so look at how much that's been manipulated. So when people try to come at me with this whole Leviticus crap, I don't really put a lot of stock into it, because you have to do your homework. And not only that, but if you are coming from a place of love, from a place of inclusivity, if you're coming from a place of higher vibration and light, you're going to act in love. You're going to act in light. You're going to do things that are coming from a place of a parent loving a child, because God lives within all of us. The eternal creator lives within all of us. And so what we're putting out into the world is coming through us. And if someone is operating from a place of fear, lack, or hatred, by default, they've already disconnected themselves from source, and they are not acting in any authority from the place of God. So God is coming from a place of love and light and divinity and this parent of love. And so if you can't come from a place of that, then you've already dismissed your connection to source, and you're acting from a place of human struggle and trauma and pain. And that isn't accurate to what the lighter vibrations and the lighter forms of awareness represent. Okay, so it's pretty clear and easy to tell whether someone's coming from a place of love and light, or if they're coming from a place of fear and hatred. And if you're coming from a place of fear and hatred, you're going to see it in their behavior and their actions, and in the way that they treat their fellow man. Hello.
Hi.
How you doing, sweetheart?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What did you want to
I'm
ask
so
me?
excited.
Oh, cool.
Well, I don't know what to ask. Like anything, any messages.
Oh,
I'm
gosh.
here with my parents, so if anyone comes up for them.
Okay. Yeah. One thing. First of all, there is a baby in spirit, so someone must have miscarried, lost, or termination, because there's a child in spirit. So, are you aware of a baby connected to the family that didn't make it?
No.
Okay, there's a baby there. So there's a baby that was miscarried, lost, or terminated, but there's a baby connected to the family. I also think there is an older female in spirit as well. So I want to say this might be like a grandmother figure, but I also am seeing the name twice. So this person might share her name, or someone else may have the middle name of this person as well. Do you have a grandmother in spirit?
Yes, I do. It's my
Okay.
mom's mom.
Got it. And does she share her name with her mother, or does someone in the family have the middle
Yes,
name?
my older sister shares
Got
my
it.
middle name. No,
Got it. She's also showing me the number 4. Do you know if either the 4th of a month or April is connected, or if there's 4 of you?
There's 4 of us kids.
Okay, so she's just acknowledging the 4 of you. She's also referencing. Does one of you also have a birthday in April?
No.
Okay. Who's the? You know what? It's interesting. She's acknowledging the 4, but then she went back to that and she was trying to bring something else in. Does someone have the name April?
No.
Okay. Not sure where she's going with that, because she just brought up the April, but she said it again, and it was almost like I feel like it was a name. But I'll leave that with you. But she's acknowledging the name April as well. So there's a reference there. She also keeps thank you. She is making me feel like there was more than one issue or condition that was affecting her, and that this was starting to become multiple issues on top of multiple issues, and that she was kind of done and she was ready. So she's just acknowledging that it was time for her. She's also apologizing because she makes me feel like she held back, or she wasn't telling everybody everything that was going on with her. Do y'all know that?
I honestly don't know how she passed away, like what was wrong with her. Feel like my mom and my aunts always told me something different.
That's okay. So the way she's making me feel is she wasn't sharing details with people, or she was holding back, and because of this, there was a lack of information that they were aware of, and that may have been. And again, there was like multiple issues, so there wasn't just one. There was like 2 or 3 separate things going on simultaneously. Do you also know, was she a bit of a drinker when she was younger?
Smoker. A smoker, my mom said.
Okay, here's the thing. She's doing this. Now, whenever someone does this, it usually means I'm drinking something that is not healthy for me, or I'm taking something in liquid, and it's messing up my body. So I don't know, there was a drink that she was taking that was affecting her system, or there was something going on where she was ingesting something and it was starting to affect her organs, because she's making me feel almost like there's something going wrong or something off with what she's taking. She also keeps acknowledging the inflammation. Thank you. She showed me the lower immunity. So her immune system was also not doing too well, or there was an effect on her lower immunity. Did she also start to show these little spots or these dots on her skin? Because she's showing me these like discolorations.
Do you know if she had any disabilities?
I don't
She
remember.
can't remember.
I
She
was 2
passed.
years old.
Yeah, she passed away when my mom was only 2, so she doesn't remember much.
That's okay. That's all right. She's
But I
acknowledging
can
like
ask my aunt.
yeah, because she's talking about these spots or these like dots on the skin, and almost like this was indicative of what this could have been or what was going on with her as well. I almost feel like there was a lack of the functioning of the internal organs like the liver and so forth and the kidneys, but also I almost feel like also there was a lack of oxygen that was making itself to her brain, and so they may have ruled it something that was not technically what actually she passed. Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because she's pointing to her head too, so there's definitely was an effect on her head as well. So she's just wanting to acknowledge the children. She's also acknowledging. Is there a Harry, Henry, Harvey name, H name male?
My brother-in-law Hector, pero
Her brother-in-law Hector.
He's still alive though, right?
Yes.
No, this is someone that's there. There's a male.
Someone that passed away.
It connected to the military.
Connected to the
military. There's a military male, H name like Henry, Harry, Harvey.
No, we can't think of.
That's okay. I'm gonna leave that with you because there's a reference there. And this person, they passed of a heart attack, so they would have passed after the military, but they passed of like a heart attack. So this is a male connection as well. If they were not part of the family, they were still connected to the family, because I feel like there's a connection to the family with this person. They're also acknowledging. Thank you. There's a younger person that wants to pop in for a second and say hi. I want to say this is a male, so there's a younger male stepping in. I also feel this male is pointing to themselves, which means they either committed suicide or they took their own life or they caused their own passing. So this is a younger male as well. I also feel like this male would be not directly related to you, but kind of like direct related, like through someone else, or almost like connected through someone else. But they're making me feel this way. There's also acknowledgement to the month of December. So December, the 12th of a month, may also be connected to this person. Do you know someone that was younger that had a passing like that?
No.
They took something and it went to their system and it caused their passing, and they may have found this person like the next day, but it's almost like they.
Sounds like my dad's brother, but I don't know.
grandpa.
Is it still from my mom's side, or is this like someone else?
Oh, I don't know. I don't even know that.
Okay. It might be my dad's brother, or
My grandpa passed away in December.
he committed suicide.
No, but he died right after grandma died. He said that he didn't want to live anymore.
Do you know if he was on medication or he took too many medicines, or if they found like they didn't perform an autopsy, correct?
I'm not aware of that.
What I'm thinking is my dad's brother from Vegas when they found him the next day. I'm thinking it's
they found him in his room. Did they find him in his room?
They found him in his house. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a room, but
okay.
Yeah.
And was he younger when this happened?
Oh, he was younger.
Like in his 40s?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This is your dad's brother. Also, is there a junior connection?
Junior?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have a junior.
Okay. There's two of them.
Yeah.
Going to that with your dad's brother. Are there two people with the same name? There's two juniors though.
In my dad's family, yeah.
Okay. Your Jose, your tío Luis is Jose too.
Oh, yes.
Did he also have the blue? I don't know if the blue Chevy or a red Chevy. Did they have the blue Chevy or the red?
I never met him, so we were like distant family, so I never.
There might be a picture of him because he's showing me like a blue Chevy or red Chevy. I hate to say this. Do you know if he liked to pay for fun? Let's put it that way.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is
from the little bit that I know.
Okay. This guy is just wanting to say hi, and he's wanting to acknowledge that he's having the time of his life. And he said it's bigger than Vegas. So, I guess this is his way of saying he's enjoying the party. Yeah, so he's acknowledging that. He's also writing on my skin, so someone might have gotten a tattoo for him.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know, but I'll check into
Yeah,
that.
it would be like a cross or some sort of like T name, or T letter or cross that's connected to him with tattoo. Okay.
Or a cross. Okay.
Okay.
My dad
All
just
right.
got a cross. I don't know if it was towards that. Who
It's okay.
knows?
You may ask him. Ask him. All right, sweetheart. All
Can
right,
I
my
ask
dear.
something really quick?
Yeah, go ahead. You got less than 2 minutes because my timer just started. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. My dad has been sick and they haven't found anything wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you're getting?
Mm-hmm.
Anything we
Yeah,
should
I
look
feel,
into?
there's a couple of things. One is I think they need to look in his liver because the levels are off. And I
The
feel
what?
like they,
Sorry.
yeah,
The
I feel like
levels?
they may need to look in his liver because I feel like his levels are off and it almost feels like there's elevated numbers in his liver. I feel like it has to do with like a T cell or a cell, like, I don't know if it's a T cell or a white cell count. There's some sort of count with the cells that may be part of it. I also feel that he may actually be having issues with the toxicity in his body releasing toxins. And so this may actually be like a symptom of like increased toxicity, but I feel like they can work on it. But I want to say that one of his organs is having trouble keeping up with him, or it's failing a little bit. He may need to be, what I think is going to happen is that they're going to put him, they're going to do tests, they're going to figure out what this is. They may even suggest a transplant this, but I feel like it's something that can be worked through.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Hello.
Oh my goodness.
How you doing, sweetheart?
Okay, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. What did you want to ask me?
I was just wondering if there's like anything my grandparents, like if they have like any messages for me and my family.
Mm-hmm. Is there 3 grandparents in spirit?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm seeing 3 of them. Okay, so I want to say, is it 2 grandpas and 1 female and 1 grandma?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Your dad's dad. Was he a little bit more, I wouldn't say strict, but he kind of liked things a certain way? He could be a bit tough?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard it's kind
Okay. He wants to apologize to your dad for how he may have been in life because he feels that he may not have shown enough love and he doesn't want your father to feel like your father wasn't good enough or like he never did enough. So he wants to apologize to your dad for this. He also wants to tell him that he loves him. He's actually saying it. So I don't know if he didn't ever say it in life, but he's wanting to say it to your father. So he's acknowledging that. Your mom's dad, that's a completely different energy. He's a little softer, a little kinder kind of energy, right? Your mom's dad? Okay. He is wanting to tell you that he's very proud of you. And he says that you've made the family proud, but he also says that you have your work cut out for you because it's almost like you have to set the standard for everybody else in the family. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Are you the eldest in the family?
No, I'm actually the only child in my family.
Oh, okay, got it. Well, then that makes sense why you have to set the standard. Okay, so it's almost like you have to set the standard, or you like whatever you do like affects everything or everybody in the family. So he's just acknowledging that. He also says thank you. He's doing something interesting. He's handing me a red jewel or red ruby. Do you know if there's a significance to a red jewel or red ruby?
There probably is. I'd probably have to ask my mom about that.
Okay, he's doing this. Like he's got his palms like this, and then he's showing me like a red jewel or red ruby, and he's handing it over. So I don't know what that means, but I feel like it's out of my norm for me to understand what it means. Okay, so if you ask her, she may know what it means. He also says that he has communicated in a dream, and I don't know if he was on a boat or if he ever spent any time in his life on a fishing boat or on a boat, but he's referencing like a dream and a boat. So there might be a dream there that you might be right. He might want to validate as well. There's a little white dog also in spirit. Did y'all have a dog or lose a little dog? Because there's a white dog also there.
I've heard that we've had a dog back in Vietnam. So
okay, because he's wanting to acknowledge the dog being there as well, to let your mom know, to let the family know as well. He also is referencing thank you. Did you just get a new car, or did you just have to get a new vehicle?
People like my family from Vietnam, like they came over and then we like got them like cars. So I'm not sure if that's what he's referencing.
Got them like cars, like just bought them cars?
We bought them cars, like.
Oh, okay. Huh. Okay. That may be okay. That's possible. I mean, that's a big thing. So he might be acknowledging the new cars or the new vehicle. So it's possible that maybe where he's going with it, and he's just wanting to acknowledge like what y'all have done for your family or what you've done in the family. But there's a reference there as well. Okay. He's putting you in a lab coat or like a white coat, and I'm trying to figure out where he's going with this. Any of the work that you do or the career that you're headed in the direction of, has it have anything to do with science or medical?
Yeah, I'm actually a nursing student right now.
Okay, he's putting you in the white coat. Here's what I'm going to say. I think he's wanting to bless what you're doing, but he also says, if you feel like you want to go further, he says you have the blessing and you have their support. So there's almost a reference there, but he's acknowledging, don't let anything get in the way of this, and he's acknowledging what you're doing. Again, showing prideship and being proud of you.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay? You're welcome, sweetheart.
Also have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that you could let me know about my relationship with N right now?
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. Sometimes when just romantic relationship, right? Yeah. Sometimes when we're in relationships, even though we kind of envision our life a certain way and we try to work in that direction, sometimes the people that we end up with don't have the same vision, or they just don't think that they can achieve the same types of goals or results. And I feel like with the relationship, this person may have gotten comfortable, or they may not be pushing further, and they may sometimes want to point fingers or want to push people away. And sometimes they may do this with you as well. You might need to be patient and just let them kind of catch up, because I feel like they are not able to, and then you froze on me. There you are. They may not see the full potential that they can fulfill, and you might just need to be patient and set the example.
Okay, got it.
So be patient.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All
much.
right, sweetheart. You take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good, and yourself?
I'm good. All right. What did you want to ask me?
I dreamed my mother-in-law the other night. Do they have any messages for us?
Mm-hmm.
We just had a new baby.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm seeing have you been married twice? Because I'm almost seeing another set.
No.
Okay. Is there more than one in-law, or was there like a biological father and then there was a stepfather, or there was because I'm almost seeing more than two in-laws.
No, it was only my mother-in-law and my father-in-law.
Okay, it's interesting because it's almost like I'm seeing two father figures. So there might be another father figure that's connected to your spouse's family, because I'm almost seeing a female and then two males, and I feel like there's two father figures. So one would be a father. There's another father figure that's also connecting to them as well, because I'm almost seeing another one. Do you know if your significant other, if they were raised partly by another male, or there's another father figure that was there for them?
No, not that I know of.
Do you know, where would the Andrew or Andres or Andy name be connected to? Okay, you might need to ask. It's okay. You might need to ask them. So just when you get a chance, you can ask them. With the in-laws, here's the thing. With the mother-in-law, immediately she showed me two babies. Have y'all already had one child?
Yes, we had a baby.
Okay. She's showing me two though. So do y'all have two kids, or is the second one?
No, this is our third one already.
This is the third one? Okay.
Yes.
Were two of them born after her passing?
We had one, and then my brother-in-law, her son, had another son.
Okay, got it. Because she's acknowledging the two that were born after her passing. So she's wanting to reference that she knows about both babies. So she's letting y'all know that. She also keeps referencing the number. Thank you. Is there a connection to the month of March or the 3rd? Because she's referencing the number 3 or March?
March. The 3? Oh, tomorrow it's my her husband, my father-in-law's anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
he passed away.
Got it.
Yeah.
So they're just acknowledging. She's the one speaking because she's the one that wants to talk. So he's not letting him talk. She's the one talking. So she's just acknowledging that. She also talks about 2 tattoos that were made into one. Do you know if someone got a tattoo where there was 2 originally? There was one and there was another one. They made it into one?
Well, my wife got her a portrait of her.
Okay. And did she add on to it, or was there already one there and then she added on to it, or made it?
There was I don't know if you can see
Is that
it.
your wife? Is that right here? Is that her right there? That's it. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, honey. All right. She's acknowledging 2 into 1. Did you start off with 1 and turn it into 2, or did you put 2 together to mean something?
Yes.
Okay. Because she's acknowledging, oh, that's the symbol. Okay, got it. She's acknowledging that. She also keeps referencing that even though it might have been, okay, thank you. That's the cancer symbol, right? I'm assuming that's what that means, is cancer. Yeah. But she's also talking about that the blood became contaminated, or it's almost like there was a sepsis that started to settle in. Do you know if she also ended up suffering from sepsis? Where her blood became contaminated and her organs started to shut down?
Yeah.
Okay. She also keeps talking about the L name. Is there a male L name connection?
No.
Like Lily or Linda or Lily or Lulu? It's like a LL sounding name.
Lulu. That's my cousin.
Okay. She's acknowledging that person and that side of the family. Have y'all been disconnected from that side of the family, or there been a little bit of a split?
Yeah, they're in Mexico.
Oh, okay. She's acknowledging the split or the separation that's happened there. I've only got like less than a minute, so I want to make this fast. She's acknowledging that split or that disconnect there. Your mom also lets you know that she came in a dream and that she was sitting next to your bed in the dream. So do you remember a dream where she was sitting on the bed?
No, I remember dreaming something, but I couldn't remember exactly what she was doing. I just know she was in it.
Okay, because she's acknowledging that she came in a dream and that she was actually in the bedroom sitting next to you, but she came in, tried to let you know that was her in the dream. She also says that you are a good mother and you're a good daughter. She says that you've never disappointed her. She also said, thank you. Were you a little bit tough to handle when you were a teenager? She says, don't ask her for forgiveness, because she says nothing to forgive. There's nothing to forgive. So she wants you to know that. She also says she loves all of her kids equally. So I don't know if someone acts like they're the favorite, because she's wanting to like say, I love all my children equally. She also says that you were with a good man. And she also says, I hope y'all get the house. Are y'all trying to get a big house or a bigger house? Or there's something about getting another house?
No, we got a house. It's our first year here.
Oh, it's your first, okay. You just got the house. Okay. She's acknowledging about the house and happy that y'all got the house. And that's what she's talking about. So she's making reference to being happy y'all got the house. She also wants to thank you. She showed me a bracelet. Do you have a bracelet that belonged to her as well?
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't have it on me, but she got me one, yeah.
That's okay. She's just acknowledging that. Okay. There's like a Lisa as well, like a Lisa or Annalisa, or there's some sort of a Lisa name that's also
Elisa, her sister?
Okay. She's wanting to acknowledge her sister. Her sister's still alive though, right?
Yes.
Okay. She wants to say thank you. Do you know if her birthday's coming up or we're within 30 days of her birthday?
No, I think it was in May.
That's okay. She's talking about a birthday. So I don't know if her sister celebrated her sister's birthday and she's thanking her for what she did on her birthday, or if there's something about a birthday within 30 days, but she's acknowledging something like that. She also, she says, thank you. She says that, did y'all have a bulldog or like a pit bull?
Yeah.
There's a dog there. So she's acknowledging a dog in spirit as well that didn't make it. It might have died when it was younger, though. Do y'all remember how
I had one that ran away.
You what?
I had a pit bull that ran away, but we just didn't find her no more.
I think their dog is there, sweetheart. I think the dog passed. So she's letting you know the dog is with her and that the dog is okay. Okay.
Oh.
All right, sweetheart. I'm
wishing y'all the very so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. No, absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.